So good morning, Matt. We are back again on a Monday morning with some exciting news to share.
No, we are, mate. Big weekend, big couple of weeks, or big month or so for SportsFX. So I'll let you do the honours, mate.
Yeah, there's a couple. The first one is that we finally partnered up with the First Serve, and Brett's released that news today. So for those that don't know, First Serve is basically the home of tennis in Australia. Brett's been running a radio program, a YouTube channel, a podcast, all sorts and everything around tennis, from the young up and comers up to the top players in the world. And he interviews them, he speaks to them, their coaches, their parents, just basically covers everything about tennis in the most comprehensive way possible. And he's been doing that for a very long time. He's got great credibility and trust in that industry. And we're delighted to come on board in 2025 when he's taking the trip of a lifetime.
Yeah, it's a brilliant opportunity, and it's a perfect partner for SportsFX. As we've spoken about on numerous occasions, it's all about the values of the entities that we want to partner with. And Brett, at his core, just loves tennis, has a passion for it. He's been around the game for decades, been commentating on it and certainly advertising the game for decades through the First Serve. And if you listen to the program, even if you're not a true tennis devotee, the detail he goes into and his love of the Australian players coming through, but as you rightfully say, be it the juniors all the way through to those in the college system, those on the Challenger, the ITF, WTA, ATP, everything. And to top that off, he's now, as you say, on the trip of a lifetime. I mean, this would be everybody's bucket list to have the ability to travel for a full year and basically follow the tour and live as a professional tennis player, if you like, to really get a feel for that is incredible. And we couldn't be more excited. Tennis is one of the sports that we have a real passion for ourselves, and certainly an industry that we want to break into through SportsFX, and we know we can help that industry, and aligning with Brett just seems a logical step for us.
100%. And some of the, I've just brought up here in front of me, some of the tournaments he's going to, he's starting in Argentina, Rio, Indian Wells, Miami Open, Monte Carlo, Barcelona, Madrid, Rome, Paris, Queens tournament, Wimbledon, Washington, Toronto, Cincinnati, New York, San Francisco, Tokyo, Shanghai, Vienna, Paris, Riyadh, Turin, and Bologna, just to name a few. And he said in between, if he's got a bit of time, he'll catch some pickleball, some paddle, some college tennis. Like, he's going to be exhausted.
That's it. I guess the SportsFX sponsorship goes a long way, mate, when you can start the fun international tennis tours. It's brilliant.
Going everywhere. Gonna have to join him somewhere.
No, I think that's the go. I actually had a go. Had another game of paddle on Friday. And I was playing against a guy who partners with one of Australia's icons of tennis. I won't mention any names, but it was brilliant to play with him, and he's coming down to Sydney to set up or refurb, if you like, and at Tennis World there at sort of Epping, if you know Sydney at all. So it's an iconic tennis venue. They're going to do a lot of work on that site to up the paddle tennis facilities. He'll set it up. He'll coach out of there. There'll be tournaments and everything. I'm really looking forward to it. It's something I'm going to sort of get more involved in. Certainly playing wise, I think it's a great sport. If you've never tried it, it's certainly a workout. An hour on the court. It
is great for the fitness. Yeah, great for the fitness. That short, sharp, a bit like five-a-side football. Just that short, sharp, intense, game rather than the full size thing. Which I don't know if it was us speaking about it last week on here, or no, we might have been talking to someone we were chatting with around those shortened types of games. How football, you've got five-a-side. Tennis, you've got paddle, or cricket with the, instead of a 5-day test match, you've got the 1-dayers or the 2020s. Just that shortened thing. And I came across one last night, which was called Fling Golf. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, I haven't
heard of it before.
No.
Fling Golf, which looks a bit like lacrosse. But you're on a golf course, exact same course, but you've got the ball in this stick and you're flinging it instead of.
Right.
But it's massive. Played like in 200 countries. It's a bit like paddle. I hadn't heard of it until a couple of years ago, maybe 12, 18 months ago. Fling golf's like everywhere. I've never heard of it before. But it seemed like I think we were talking about golf and how they could make it more exciting or like a shorter, faster game. And something random I've come across last night.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. That fling thing you're talking about, I saw that on a court, a massive court the other day. On it might have been on TV or something, or maybe I saw it on YouTube. But yeah, same thing. It was the ball in a sling. It was in a encaged venue, if you like. Two blokes just throwing this thing almost like playing squash, if you like, but on a court 4 or 5 times the size. But with that flinging thing. Yeah, that's a technical term, obviously. So, yeah.
Maybe it would be less frustrating than actually playing golf.
Mate, yes, would be right. Although I admire golf, so I was watching a bit of the Victorian Open PGA here yesterday, and I mean, it would have been, the winds were up all over the place. Greens were rock hard, fairways rock hard, which is Australian golf. But every shot is a different shot. You know, nothing's the same. You can't manufacture it to suit a condition because every shot's different.
Yeah. No, something we need to get involved more of is a bit more golf. I don't think I've had a game in ages, but we'll look into that for 2025.
We'll get onto that, mate. We'll definitely. We'll be playing golf, and somewhere along the track, maybe we can line it up with a first serve tour somewhere along that list of we've got up in front of us now. Yeah. Look at what golf tournaments are on in and around the same sort of time. I'll tell you where we should go if we're talking about that. We can do the Waste Management Golf in Vegas, which is the one where they have the party hole. We go there. Then we'll go from there to the Super Bowl. That's only a week or 2 later. And then we'll jump onto one of these tennis trips. Indian Wells will be too late. We'll miss that. But no, there's certainly somewhere there we can go.
I'll let you break the news to the wives and kids.
Yeah. Hey, it's what we've got to do, mate.
Work.
Exactly. It's all work.
Mate, well, jumping away from tennis for a second, we had some, I don't even know how to explain it, just like, a huge breakthrough, whatever you want to call it. I didn't know how to feel about it. Proud, happy, excited, just pumped. But we did register and trade our first English Premier League player over the weekend, early on Saturday morning. And when I sort of was thinking about it and wrote about it a little bit, it was like we've done players in, just like football in general. You've got Serie A, you've got the Bundesliga. We look after players in Japan, Scottish Premier League, all over. But English Premier League just feels different. It's the biggest and best in the world, the most marketed, the most well known. To have some success there is incredible.
Yeah, as you and I spoke via text sort of over the weekend when that went through, conversations have been happening, and then to basically get the call and within 24 hours we're trading, it is groundbreaking for SportsFX. If you go back to its genesis of when you set it up and why you set it up, there's the classic example as to what's been built over the journey, and what we're continuing to build moving forward. That if we can get to the Premier League, which is, as you say, certainly the most recognised of all competitions in the football world. You could have the debate forever and a day whether it's the best, but certainly the most recognised, the most televised, the money that's involved in it. So to have players or player from within the Premier League now looking at SportsFX, a little business down here in little old Australia, to support them in their money transfer. Well, clearly the conversations are being had in the right places. Clearly people are trusting what SportsFX are doing, and happy to partner up with us, and trust us with their the currency transfers.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, it was Saturday morning, and that we speak about this a lot, but it's the out of hours or the out of basic banking hours. But there was Thursday morning, Friday morning, Saturday morning. I had deals booked and contracts booked before 7 a.m. And that was clients out of the UK. So obviously for them, it's their evening. They're away from their sports. They're at home. They've got time to to do things. So yeah, again, that sort of I guess level of service or just availability and accessibility that we provide, for clients is obviously fantastic, and it helps us, it helps them. It's just a win-win.
Yeah. And as you say, it's hard to get the right words to describe the feeling that it was. I mean, I know when it came through on my phone, you're sort of just sitting there going, "Wow, okay, we're getting a bit real now."
Yeah,
Even though, not that it wasn't real before, and not that the other clients or where they're playing is in any way diminished, but yeah, you're going into those top leagues. It'd be like, we've got footballers in other codes, whether it be rugby league, rugby union. What do we get into the NFL and we start, moving player money in that space? Baseballers, basketballers. We've had some really positive conversations in both of those sports over recent times.
yeah,
And as we start to, and it's always an interesting conversation as when we start with some of the potential new partners. It's our players aren't paid much. They haven't got much going on. And when we work through the conversation and they understand actually this is when they actually need SportsFX, a company like SportsFX that has their best interests at heart first and foremost, want to educate them on how they can have more money in their back pocket when money is at a critical point. We're not talking about the player that's on $500,000 a week. These players, a couple of $1,000 here, there in their back pocket, rather than to a bank or through an exchange, has to be better off for them.
Yeah.
And to know that they can pick up the phone, send a message, and at any time, day or night, and weekend, they can get that trade done. That speaks volumes.
Yeah, no, it does, and it's so just over the weekend, thrilled with that, and it allows us now to on the website we have popular leagues where our clients play. A couple of logos there. It's got the MLS, the A League, J League, Serie A, Bundesliga, Scottish Premier League, Saudi League, and Indian Super League as well. And we can now stick that Premier League badge on there as well. So fantastic for credibility, obviously, as well. And
Yes.
for just the leagues that where we have a a representation or a presence, and that's just through football. It's outside of these other sports which we're gaining more and more traction on. So yeah, fantastic way to end the week and start December.
No, definitely coming off the back of the success of November. Certainly what we've got in the pipeline in December, January. There's a lot of conversations taking place. We've got a number of meetings this week with potential clients. It feels like there's a real groundswell of people that are, I don't know, advocating is the right word on our behalf. It seems to be. And I think that all just comes down to, one, the service level that we do provide, because we do what we say we're going to do. And that authenticity that comes with that, which athletes fundamentally are looking for.
Yeah. No, very, very good. And off the back of, a lot of that stuff last week was around getting deals booked for people while rates were high. So I did put a post out on Saturday. So there's only been 2 days since 2020 where you could get a better exchange rate sending pounds to Australian dollars. So that's what we were doing last week, was a lot of pounds to Australian dollars. And just incredible run in the pound against the Aussie. The Aussie just really sold off last week. But the sort of second part of that is, now that it's reached this point, so we have clients that transact monthly. It might just be salary comes in, salary goes out. It's just how they transact. They're not away for a long time. Got others that might transfer 2 to 3 times a year. Those are the ones that we've got conversations booked in for this week around, all right, you earn pounds, we send money back to Australia, 2 to 3 times a year. Why not look at a forward contract now? Rates are almost at a 2 to 1. Give me rough figure of how much pounds you think you're going to send back over the next 12 months. And then we'll come away from that total figure. So let's just say it was £300,000. Well, we might book in 200,000 just to give them some leeway if things change or different bills come up. But we can then lock in these rates at 198, 199 for the next 12 months. And every time they want to send money home now over the next 12 months, they get that high rate. Look, it might go a bit higher. It might fall back. You don't know. But to take advantage of rates that have not been this high since 2020 is obviously a fantastic opportunity for them and protect their earnings that they're making over there and do something with it over here, whether it's buying property, shares, investing, whatever it is that they decide to do. They all do different things. But that's where we come in with that currency management is, all right, here's fantastic rates. How do we take advantage of them? How do we get you sort of set up for the next 12 months, knowing that even if the rate was to drop back to $1.70, you've still got it booked in at $1.99.
Yeah. That's it.
So we're looking at that over pounds, also over US dollars. So we've got a couple of clients earning large amounts of US dollars. They've got contracts still running for anywhere from 6 to 12 months in different countries around the world. But same thing, that's all right. Rates have reached. I was looking at the weekend, I went back on a weekly chart, and since 2003, there's only been 3 or 4 times where rates have been this high from US dollars to Australian dollars. And that was through the GFC, through COVID, just, a couple of times, handful of times. So then you're talking about 20-year, close to 20-year highs in exchange rates.
Yeah.
It's amazing, ridiculous. But at the same time, how can we switch on and, take advantage of that for you?
Exactly right. Capitalize that for you. As you say, it could move pips either way, but as you say, you're at, almost generational highs at 20-year highs. Capitalize on that. Use that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and same thing. Just if you lock it in, it's done. It's for the next 12 months, you don't have to worry about it. Every time you send money home, you know exactly what your exchange rate is.
Correct.
No matter what happens.
Well, I guess that.
Yeah, no matter what happens, in the world, Trump coming in, Elon Musk joining the party, anything could happen in the next 12 months.
So true. So true. And it's all that education piece. It's up to them at the end of the day. They're just armed with the right information to make those decisions.
Yeah, no, it's
Hold on.
Yeah, I think we spoke last week and it was like nothing really happening in exchange rates. Everything was very much sideways, but come, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday when the Australian GDP figures came out, worse than expected. It just fell off a cliff against everybody. So we had, and then this week, so still, even though we're coming into Christmas this week, there's a lot of news this week. So starting with the US has obviously strengthened against most currencies. It's been supported by positive economic news. And this week, I think it's Wednesday, they've got their CPI release. Yeah, Wednesday. So that's going to be the biggest decision or the biggest sort of announcement of the week out of the US. And, the CPI figures, that will then dictate what the Federal Reserve do in regards to interest rates and interest rate decisions. So that'll be key, and that'll be very interesting to see how that comes out and what effect that has on the market pricing in, the Fed cutting rates. So at the moment, I think there's the last thing I looked at was about an 85% chance that they're going to cut interest rates in December. So any sort of big swing with this CPI figure will have an effect on that. So again, while you're at, and these are the things about taking risk off the table, you're at close to a 20-year high overall, but let's just say even outside of, looking at it back over a weekly period, it reached this rate once in August, once in April, and before that it was October last year. So let's just say a 12-month high.
It's a 12-month high. There you go.
Still a 12-month high, but overall it's nearly a 20-year high.
Yep.
So it's events like this on Wednesday which can have a big effect on that. So if data comes out and it then sells off the US dollar, well, if you've got your rates locked in a forward contract before that happens, these announcements don't mean anything to you. It's not going to affect your take home money or what you've booked in.
No.
So yes, it's just like that. Sometimes it's just taking risk off the table because results can come out any which way. Rates could move higher, lower, stay the same. But for yourself, taking that risk off the table and not having to worry about it, I find sometimes it's just great for peace of mind.
I totally agree, mate. The less decisions you've got to make, and you can focus on other areas that you actually understand and work on. Take this one off the table. Trust the experts. Lock it in. You got your 12-month covered off or longer, depending on what you want, depending on what your contract says. Even leave your money there and have it over an extended period of time. As you say, then we can cash flow the money. They can cash flow it back here, invest it as they want to invest it. It's just one less decision they have to make on something that they fundamentally are not, across or understanding of.
Yeah, that's it. I just want to focus on playing whatever sport it is that they play. Yeah,
correct, 100%, totally.
And over to the euro. So Euro Central Bank, they meet on Thursday. So the market's expecting a 25 basis point reduction. It has been sort of floated around that potentially they'll cut 50. So that'll be an interesting one. That'll probably cause a lot of volatility. There's been a big slowdown over there in regards to just their economy, and I think the service inflation or slowdown on their sort of price inflation overall is the lowest it's been in 3 years. And as we've said a couple of times since the election, the euro has been the worst performing currency. It's dropped close to like 8-9 cents since the election happened, which was only a month ago. So the euro has really been struggling. It is positive against the Aussie because the Aussies obviously struggled last week. The euro US is way down, but the euro Aussie, given the information we had last week, the euro back to Aussie has been positive again. So again, clients in Europe, in and around that area earning euros. Again, another positive time to move things back.
Yeah, definitely.
And our old friend of the Japanese yen. That's been, where are we? So again, from the election, obviously, I think it was it might have been July when they started. They increased their interest rates, and now with the new election, that's their upcoming meetings on December 19th, so 10 days from now. There's still expectations of a rate hike happening in Japan, and their data's been fairly positive over the past couple of weeks, so that's been strengthening. I think I had a look the other day, so the Australian dollar to yen had moved, it was just over 6%. So it's dropped 6% if you're holding Australian dollars buying yen.
Yep.
But coming the other way, which is where most of our clients, all the way they're trading is they're earning yen and bringing it back to Australian dollars. That's been heavily in their favour now since September. So about a 2-month high moving money back from Japan to Australia. We've done a fair bit of that last week. And so another interesting one. Very much a central bank and monetary policy couple of weeks coming up. You've got China CPI inflation today, which I'm going to talk because that'll affect the Aussie dollar. Interest rate decision tomorrow from Australia, again, just expected to hold. There's not meant to be any interest rate cuts here in Australia. They're expecting maybe May, June, July, if that happens. Wednesday, CPI of the US, PPI, so producer price inflation out of Japan. Bank of Canada have got their interest rate this week. The Swiss bank have their interest rate alongside Europe on Thursday. And on Friday, you've got the Bank of Japan Takhan Index, which is, again, just another, they sort of research and compare about 10,000 Japanese, either 10,000 or 20,000 Japanese businesses, just about the health of their sort of, manufacturing and economy as a whole. So a lot of sort of red high tier news out this week in the markets, and with sort of a lot of rates sitting at multi-month or even multi-year highs, generally find that they coincide with big announcements coming out of the same week. So it'll have some sort of reaction. because they've all run up so high, generally you'll find there might be a bit of a sell-off. So, US to Aussie, pound to Aussie, it's had a couple of really large days up, which just might mean that you might see a bit of a sell-off, in the coming days. Pound Aussie, for instance, moved up to, I think it was 199.75. So you might just see that, whether it touches the 2-to-1 mark or not, or it might just retrace a little bit. It has the last couple of times it's sort of got to these figures. It's sold off. So it'd be interesting to see what happens, towards this week and all these central banks meeting. Not to mention just the ongoing political and I guess war or conflicts you've got going on here, there, and everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, it's a tinderbox in some areas. Certainly, the geopolitical landscape. I'm watching that closely. It certainly has an impact. There is no doubt about that. And as you say, some of these central bank decisions over the next little period of time will as well. So, again, just a really great snapshot of what's going on. And if you feel that you've got a need or a want, or just want to understand what to do with your currencies based on what you've just spoken about, just get on the phone, give us a call, send us a note. We're happy to have those conversations every day.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, got a client who reached out last week. He's been sending money to the UK over the last couple of months. He's now got a large amount he needs to send, in the millions now. He's moves, selling houses, properties, businesses. So he's on the flip side of that, where, you're sitting at only 2 days since 2020. Have you seen rates worse than this?
Yeah.
So the, instead of a forward contract on that side, we'd be looking at potential limit orders. He's got a deadline, so he's got about 60 days where this will happen. So it's, can we have a quick look at the charts? Can we pick out a couple of key levels? And can we break that transfer up into maybe 5 or 10 smaller transfers? But maybe pick a couple of levels. And if it reaches that with a limit order, can we average that rate up? Overall, the rate's terrible, so it doesn't really matter how you do it. It's not going to be good. It's around that 50 pence mark, but can we get 50.40, or the next one 50.70, or the next one 51 pence? So while that doesn't sound like a big deal on a couple of million Australian dollars, that'll add up. And if you can sort of average that rate up. So that's another discussion this week that we're having. And that's on the flip side. It's how to take advantage of it when things aren't going in your favour. It's great to take advantage of these multi-year or multi-month highs. But what do we do when it's multi-year or multi-month lows and you've got a deadline to transfer funds? So, very exciting. A couple of weeks ahead, and like that, volatility for us keeps us busy, because on one hand, people are happy, rates are going in their favour, but the other, there's people earning or sending currencies the other way. So there's the flip side. You're always looking at both sides of the coin when it comes to currencies, but keeps it exciting, which is great.
No, totally, mate. And again, that's the benefit right here. It's when it's not going so well in your favour, and still being able to try and find a silver lining inside of that the client is happy with as best they can be.
Yeah, I know. So no, it's all happening, full steam ahead.
Indeed, mate, 100%.
All right, well, I will crack this. We'll shut this off now. 28 minutes in. Don't know how much people love listening to us, but we'll find out if anyone gets to this point. Send us a note.
100%. Done.
Excellent. Well, have a great week, and we'll speak soon.
See you, mate.